I think understanding that high school students have many pressures that sometimes get minimized by adults, but in terms of a high school student, feel sometimes overwhelming. Their day is dictated by other people. Many times it's the majority of their day that's dictated by other people. So their family members may have expectations of them, their high school has expectations, their friends, socially, they have social expectations. They may have sports or outside activities that they're required to participate in or have practice. And then they're also dual enrollment college students. So here's another institution and another set of individuals with expectations on them. It's a really good experience for students that can learn how to handle it. I think it allows them to see a college environment that's authentic. It most certainly helps them to see kind of the next step in their career. For some students that are disengaged in high school, it sometimes provides a environment that's much more interesting. They can interact with adults. They feel more independent. But developmentally, it's hard for teens to compete with adults in a number of ways. One has to do with time management. Until teenagers reach a certain point of maturity, and it's brain development, so you don't always see what that looks like, it's very hard for them to have a realistic sense of time. So for a teenager, a month is a very long time. And when you talk about planning for a semester, it's the same as sometimes telling an adult you're planning for the next 10 years. So the way time passes is very different for teenagers, and the urgency of being planful is very different. Also developmentally, because teen brains are different than adult brains, sometimes consequences are not really understood that well, or they're not taken seriously. An adult may understand the consequence of not turning something in or not doing well in a class, whereas if you tell a teenager, well, this might affect your transcripts later in life, it'd be like, okay, well, that's later in life. So the whole concept of time is different, and time management's different. I think in class it's important to build in reminders into the curriculum to divide things up into smaller chunks. That actually helps many of our adult students too. But it's a technique we would be teaching people how to use with children. So we're modeling best practice in our department. Rather than say you have 10 things due in May, you have one thing due next week, one thing due the following week, one thing due the week after, and you divide it up into smaller chunks. That allows for students to who have time management challenges to do a little better, and it's not so overwhelming. We also structure a number of our activities to be done in class. They do some of the research outside of class and then do the actual work in class, which means that we're helping to structure their time and helping them to, I guess, be more successful, so they're not forgetting to bring something or do something. Some other strategies include allowing students to eat in class. Teenagers are notoriously, well, developmentally, they're still growing, especially males who can keep physically growing until they're into their 20s. But teenagers are notoriously hungry. And so talking up at the beginning of class about getting enough sleep, about eating breakfast, about being open to them bringing a snack and having food during class, because we know when they get hungry, and teenagers tend to get more hungry than adults, but when they get hungry, they can't focus. So being understanding about that, also understanding that they need to get up and move. in class, and they need to change positions often. And that's true of children in general, and it's true of teenagers that staying in one position is difficult for them. There are a lot of challenges with electronic media with teens and young students. So we're developing, I think, more strategies on how to incorporate electronic media into classroom content. So instead of forbidding people from using their phones, saying, okay, can everyone look up on YouTube a picture of a child, do an observation on your phone, and then report back? It's actually using their phone as a tool so that they're not, they don't feel like penalized for using it.